XRP does cost a little bit of XRP every single time a transaction sent. It's like 0.00000012 XRP or something. It's very small, less than a penny to send $1 million. Okay. But that's still a gas fee, and you do need the token in order to be able to cover those costs. So now you could see, institutions, I don't want to say hoarding XRP, but holding large amounts of XRP to be able to make sure that they have some. This person's asked if I'm Zach Rector's daddy. I am not Zach Rector's daddy. Zach's a good guy. He's out there. He's another channel over here that talks about XRP a lot. So anyway, back to this, the deal at hand. It seems to me like all of the things are in place for everything that I've been talking about for 18 months here. I put out my domino theory back in March of 2024, March of 2024, excuse me, corrected myself. It hasn't been 2 years. It's only been 18 months. But I put that video out and we talked about, the reverse carry trade unwinding, the flooding of U.S. Treasuries onto the market, us passing stablecoin regulation to be able to soak up those treasuries, the ETFs going live, the destabilization, which, Bitcoin's not already unstable, but the destabilization of Tether because of some means, either sanctions or they don't comply with the stablecoin bill, which they don't. We also got news today that they are going to figure out what it's going to look like for a cryptocurrency-backed stablecoin here in the U.S. Their regulators are starting to look at that now. I've postured for a long time that XRP in particular would become a tier 1 asset and be used to back stablecoins potentially, and other, be a reserve asset effectively. I think that that's a great possibility. All that takes is one announcement by the BIS, and it is game over. People will be clamoring for XRP to be able to use it if it becomes a reserve asset. I think that you're going to see gold, oil, and XRP used to back the new financial system, or, that's probably a weird way to put that. There's a lot of people out there that talk about a quantum financial system and a bunch of crazy stuff. This is just a transition from the way that things look today, that's going to migrate to something that has real tangible backing, if it's gold or oil. We're also about to see the dinar get revalued. Huge deal in the Middle East. And they've also allowed Ripple to operate at scale. Just so happens at the same time there in the UAE. We also saw Ripple just yesterday evening get the announcement from Singapore that they are fully regulated to be able to operate in their full capacity there in that jurisdiction. So as far as I'm aware, that's global coverage for Ripple and the use of XRP if there's enough liquidity in the asset. And the only way that that's going to happen is a huge rotation. Okay. This cycle has been, different than other cycles. We saw Bitcoin at an all-time high before the halving. That's never happened before. So no matter what you say, this time is different. And they are going to need to roll a lot of that liquidity into XRP. There are going to be a sell-off in other assets in order to be able to move enough liquidity and demand toward XRP to be able to push it to the prices where it can be used. I think a lot of that demand is going to come from the Bitcoin ETFs. This person says the dirham, not the dinar. You're correct. Excuse me. So the dirham, the last time I was in Dubai, this was February of 24. So actually right before I put out the domino theory, coincidentally, when we met with MasterCard, I used some dirham while I was over there. I had to convert my cash for dirham. So you're correct. There in the UAE it is dirham. But there is going to be a reevaluation of that, and they're going to back it with oil, which is fantastic. We've seen Russia already back their currency with gold, and I think that that's going to become the norm. I think that they are going to use those two commodities alongside XRP after it's starting to be used at scale and a much higher price and gets the designation as a tier 1 asset to back currencies. Canada doesn't have any gold. They've got a lot of oil in the ground. They've got a lot of gold in the ground. So maybe they tokenize, the commodities that are still in the ground. I think that there's a lot of different ways that they could go about this. They obviously there was something out that came out the other day that the UAE found what was it? It was like 11,000 tons of gold somehow that just wasn't there. There's stuff like that that happens all the time, which is very weird to me. But we haven't seen. I do think that we're going to see gold prices drop. We've seen silver rise to where are we at? Around $58 per ounce